take a look at the euro dollar for the upcoming October the 14th session. We've had some nice close above this previous high as we talked about here on the daily chart. And doing some analysis, we can see that we do have some MACD divergence building with that. As you can see here, the MACD is waving a little bit lower as price is raising higher. And as we're going to go all the way down to the 1 hour chart, because we've been in this slow grind up, here's our notes from yesterday. Here's that trend line that we drew. It never came across that. However, we did get that close on the hourly chart there. And as you can see right here, again, the importance of booking our profit. You can see this up and down price action. It took forever even just to give 33 pips here. And it did continue to stay up there, even if we kept our stop back here, back behind that candle. It continued up gradually over the course of the day. It has not broken this trend line yet. And so we're going to continue to use this trend line here. And as far as a buy scenario right now, there's nothing I'm really comfortable with as the market currently looks for a buy scenario on the euro dollar. The one trade I would be looking for on the euro dollar is a sell, and that would be on a close below this trend line right here on a 60-minute chart. And I would then also be very cautious if price came down to these levels. Now, the only buy I might be looking for in the upcoming sessions is if price comes down to these levels, where we have these lines right here, and then there's some kind of, like, it holds like you see it holding here, and then there's some kind of, there'll be a trend line because price had fallen down here, and a close above that on a 30-minute chart. So that would be the only buy, and again, sometimes it's hard to describe that because it hasn't happened yet. But primarily, we are looking for a sell in the upcoming sessions on the euro dollar only if it closes below this trend line on a 60-minute basis. That's what we're looking for on the euro dollar for the upcoming October the 15th session. Let's take a look at the pound dollar for the upcoming October the 15th session. Again, there's still some bearish weight here on the daily chart. Even though we've had price continuing to move up for the last several days, overall the trend is still looking down according to the MACD. And we've had some follow through for the last couple days. It's the most real follow through we've had in several days. And let's go ahead and take a look at the 4 hour and see if it gives us any indication of any kind of trade that might be looking to set up. And nothing really. But what I'm going to do is I want to highlight this line right here. Right? There's nothing in particular the 4 hours telling us. But what we do want to make note is that we have that resistance band marked right here. That's going to be important as price comes up there. It could be a triple top. We need to watch how price reacts when it comes up to this level right here, these actual highs. So I'm just going to just move it up just a bit because it's a few more pips up. There we are. So we want to see what happens with price comes up to that level. Also note a 402 exponential moving average there. MACD still neutral overall. So let's go down to the 1 hour chart and we'll bring over here our notes. As you can see here, yesterday we talked about a close below the trend line on a 60-minute chart. That did happen, and then right away it stopped us out on the top, and then we had this close above here on the 60-minute chart like we said, and then it slowly went to go run. So again, it's important to remember to put your stops in, and then also be able, as we mentioned in yesterday's videos, talking about a close in reverse. What we want to do is now take this trend line and move it out like we have right here. And there's going to be a couple scenarios we're going to look for. We're going to look for a sell scenario on any close below this trend line here on a 60-minute. We have MACD divergence building here on the 60-minute chart. Looks like we're going to have at least a pullback. Remember, divergence doesn't always mean reversal. It usually means pullback. The other thing we're going to look for on a possible sell is when we come up to this resistance line right here. Remember that resistance line that we took off the 4 hour chart? If price holds up there and we get some kind of trend line, going again, maybe another steeper trend line coming up here. Any kind of trend line after price holds up at this level and closes below that on a 60-minute chart, we'd be looking for a sell. The only buy scenario we may be looking for if price closes above this level, this resistance level, on a 60-minute chart. And then we'd still be taking that buy with caution. So we're looking for one buy and two possible sell scenarios for the pound dollar for the upcoming October the 15th session. Let's take a look at the dollar Swiss for the upcoming October the 15th session, and this is the daily chart that we have here. One of the key levels we want to mark on our charts if price happens to pull back up to is this level right here, and that could be a retest as previous support as resistance. And on the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. We're moving down again, bearishness on the MACD. Price consistently moving down, power slide right here. Also, that's giving us a brilliant trend line, as you can see on the 4-hour chart. Coming down very, 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 very strong here. Let's get down to the 1-hour chart. Very, very strong trend. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not interested in buying into this trend, not in the least. One of two things I'm going to watch for, even on a close above this trend line, I wanted to note it here because a lot of people all of a sudden will go long. I'm going to see if price is going to maybe rally up above, back up to this previous support and test it as resistance. And then if it holds, I'll look for some kind of future trend line break, however price would work its way up there. Then I would look for a sell at that point. I'm not looking for a buy at all on the dollar Swiss. I'm also not looking at a sell below today's lows or yesterday's lows because we've already come through them during the Asian session, which is, kind of unusual. So really on this particular pair, the dollar Swiss, we're only looking for a sell opportunity. In other words, we're in a downtrend. We're going to looking for a rally to develop, and then we'll sell that rally in a downtrend. If price comes back up here and retests this previous support as resistance, we'll get some kind of futuristic trend line like we have right here that price will have followed. And a close below that on a 60-minute chart, we'd be looking for a sell. So we're going to be very patient, and that's what we're looking for here on the dollar Swiss for the upcoming October the 15th session. Let's take a look at the dollar yen for the upcoming October the 15th session. Again, the daily chart up and down, up and down, up and down. Not a lot of follow through here. Even when we get down to the 4-hour chart, you're going to begin to notice, look at those wicks. Wicks up, wicks down, wicks up, wicks down. A lot of spikiness in here. What does this tell you? This tells you, even as we get down to the 1-hour chart, look at this. Wick up, wick down, wick up, wick down. There is not a lot that we're very interested in on this pair. Probably the most interesting thing, again, is we're in a very narrow consolidating range here, as we commented on yesterday. We're going to extend this trend line on our chart right here. We're going to extend it out. We're going to keep it with these wicks right here. And we're also going to extend this lower one. Again, you can see these spikes above here. Again, an importance why we stress, especially for you traders at home that have a high level of responsibilities, jobs, families, etc., in addition to learning to trade. This is telling us that we're in a very tight range, best to stay out of it. So any kind of close below this trend line here on a 60-minute, we're going to be looking for a sell. And a bought close above this trend line up here on a 60-minute chart, we're going to be looking for a buy. Now remember, this could spike out, and then we want to have our stop back on the other side of this trend line. And if we happen to get stopped out and it closes below here, let's say we closes above here first on the 60-minute chart, we go long, it comes back in here, stops us out, and then closes below here after that on this trend line on the 60-minute chart, then we would go short. And sometimes, again, as we mentioned before, it takes a lot to learn how to close and change directions. If you're not able to do that, don't worry about it. But the highest probability trades around these two trend lines in this narrowing range would be a close above this trend line here on the 60-minute chart for a long, and a close below this trend line down here on the 60-minute chart for a short. And that's what we're going to be watching for on the dollar yen for the October the 15th session.